Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I wanted to a couple things first. Make sure, can you all see my screen? And I think you guys can still hear me loud and clear. I know I do a couple of sound checks, but I wanted to make sure that you guys could see the screen. We're going to go through a slide deck, and then I'm going to also share the classroom space here in a little bit too. So I'm going to flip my camera on. Hey, everybody. Hello. Happy Wednesday. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I feel like this term is flying by. Does anybody else feel that way? It's just going so fast. Today's session is for any student in SNHU 107. We're in week 5. Our plan today is to chat about your week 5 assignments. I'm going to touch just real quick on week 6 and using our SNHU career team. And then I'm also going to show you just a few kind of sneak peeks about your final project that's not due for a couple of weeks, not till module 7, because next week's webinar, week 6, is pre-recorded. It's on demand. And it's going to go over all the details about module 7, just so you know. But I wanted to just show you just a couple of things since I was live here with y'all today. So let's dive in. Let's get started. As always, y'all, your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is so important to us. It's our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are any aspects of instruction or course design that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Accessibility Center team, OAC for short, as soon as possible at 866-305-9430. You can also email them at oac@snhu.edu or visit the Online Accessibility Center website. As a reminder, the Online Accessibility Center team is here for you to get content, like webinar content, classroom content, in a way that works best for you and your learning style. If you have questions about this or want to know more, reach out directly to that team. Couple of webinar reminders. We are in an academic space. So y'all, remember, when you're in SNHU Connect, or if you're on the first year experience YouTube pages, in these webinars, in your classroom spaces, those are all academic spaces. So always be mindful of your conduct. I promise you, all those comments and posts and all the things are all read, and they're read by a human, which is typically me. So I like to remind students, like, hey, I can see that. So just remember that. You're always in an academic space, so bring your best self, right? These webinars are completely optional. You don't have to watch them. They're not graded. There's no extra credit points, but I hope that they're helping you from week to week go over the content and the assignments. Have you all been watching the webinars? I know we've only had a couple of live sessions. Everything else has been pre-recorded or on demand. So I always like to ask, like, if you've been seeing the webinars, if they're helpful. I see some of you. Oh, okay, perfect. Welcome. If this is your first time catching it live, that's awesome. And this is recorded today, and the recording has started. So if you need to go back, if you're multitasking, I know it's kind of the middle of the day. If you need to go back, that's totally fine. It'll be up here as soon as I get it downloaded, always within 24 hours to those first year experience pages. Okay. So really for this week, I wanted to do a couple of things. One, before we dive into everything week 5, I wanted to take a minute and woohoo, high five, y'all, high five, pat on the back, do all the things. Give yourself a pat on the back. Take a minute, say woohoo, because you have made it past the halfway point of your term. Which is super exciting. And I want to remind you too that when I'm live like this, I can't always see the chat. So I also have another screen. So if you see me kind of looking both ways, it's just so I can make sure that I can see your guys' questions and comments and things that you might need. But I'm so proud of you. I know that getting started, adding school to your plate, getting into a routine can really kind of be a lot. And for some of you, you might be in a routine and you're feeling good. Others, you're like, whew, the wheels have fallen off my bus. I'm not sure what's going on. Some of you are somewhere in between. So I just wanted you to just take a minute and just smile because you've made it this far. And if you have fallen behind or have things to catch up on, this is the time to get with your faculty or your advisor and make those plans because you still absolutely have time. Okay. So I wanted to check in for a minute and just kind of make sure that you remember you have a lot of people support here. There's a lot of departments and teams from our academic support written feedback. Does anybody use academic support services at all? Like submitted like journal assignments or discussions to the written feedback center. There's also the academic coaches. There's 24/7 tutoring. There's just a lot of people that are here to support you. But always know that if you ever have questions about your assignments, about your grades, your faculty are the people that you want to go to. Do not hesitate to reach out, ask questions. If you've fallen behind, missed some assignments, let's see if you can make a plan to get caught up. They can always say no, but I tell students the answer is always no unless we ask. So some points are better than 0 points. If you've fallen behind, this is the time to reach out and ask. Also, just know that you have so much support from your advisor and different departments that are here. I know we were kind of chatting earlier a little bit about like wanting to get involved a little bit more at SNHU and exploring some of the clubs and honor societies and organizations. SNHU Connect is a great place. If you haven't been in the SNU 107 learning community pages, that's a great place to be. But you can always find the clubs and organizations when you have time to explore those. It's a great way to just to connect. I like to remind students, like, are we plugged in? Are you checking your SNHU email? Honestly, show of hands. Tell me if you're checking your SNHU email. Are you checking your email? Do you know what your grades are? Like, this is the time of the term to always make sure that you know what your grades are. So log into your classroom, log into your grade book, take a look at it, make sure that all your assignments you thought you turned in are turned in, all that kind of stuff, okay? And I always tell students, like, please make sure you're checking your SNHU email. That is how the university communicates with you. And so if you are maybe like had an assignment that was missing or you thought you turned something in and you didn't, your faculty member probably emailed you. Or if they're trying to get a hold of you from like financial services or anything like that, that's where those emails are going. So always make sure you're checking them. Plus, make sure that you're reading those course announcements. That is where your faculty will put top tips, reminders for your success, breakdown concepts, like such a great place to be. Do not miss those things, okay? The other thing I want to remind you of is discussion points matter. I can't say this enough. I think if you've watched my webinars, you've heard me say it a million times, that every term I will have students that either missed initial discussion post or they don't do the peer responses or they do one of the two peer responses. Y'all, those points add up throughout the term and it can be the difference in a letter grade. So discussion points matter. Remember, if you have a discussion assignment, submit that initial post by Thursday, write those two classmate responses by Sunday or before. Get them done. Do not skip those things. I know this week is a big week because you have a discussion assignment, a journal assignment, and a warm up. So just kind of plan your time and make sure that that stuff is out there. I remind you of all of this just because SNHU is committed to your success, but you have a major part in that role too. You have to be the one that knows what your grades are. You have to be the one that reaches out and asks those questions. We're going to try to find you and get a hold of you, but you have to do that action back, okay? And I'm seeing in the chat that you guys have used like 24/7 tutoring, you've used a written feedback team, and you've really had some awesome experiences. Plus, A pluses on checking your email. Y'all, I'm so proud of you. So this week's topic, I know it's already Wednesday, so many of you have already probably started your assignments or maybe turned them in. But this week's topic centers completely around the word being vulnerable, vulnerability, being vulnerable, right? And so for a lot of people, myself included, being vulnerable isn't so easy. What do y'all think? Do you think that being vulnerable comes easily to you? Or are you kind of like, yeah, I don't want anybody to know that I need anything. I got this. Everything's fine. Everything's fine, right? But I love this topic and I love the placement of this topic in your SNU 107 course because week 5 is busy. You know, you're kind of sliding into the last half of the term. You might be at a point where you've realized like, oh my gosh, maybe I do need some assistance. And like being vulnerable just allows you to understand that others can support you. This means like here at SNHU with the different resources and teams that we have. This means outside of the university, like who are those social supports that you can lean on? When we're vulnerable and like let others know our goals and our dreams, or we're vulnerable and let people know that we might need some assistance in one way, you know, shape or another, it can help us achieve our dreams and our goals. It can also just kind of create this like different mindset about your success, knowing that you don't have to do it all alone. You know, and being vulnerable allows you to connect with others like SNHU resources, your support systems outside of SNHU. And it just allows you to kind of open up and let others support you in your goals and dreams. And I always tell students we can be vulnerable because we can, because we have the option to. And we might not always find that vulnerability, like I'm seeing for a lot of you, that being vulnerable is not easy. For most of us, it isn't. However, if we can just take a minute and kind of do an assessment of like how things are going, like let's just talk about our class, like SNU 107, how things have gone this term, like what has gone well, what is something we want to do better, and like who can help me, right? Sometimes we just have to pause and think about like what we might need. Maybe classroom stuff is going awesome, but outside the classroom, maybe like family isn't helping, especially if you have like children or other people living in your household. Maybe they're not helping with some of the things like they said they would so you could get your homework done. Anybody have that going on? I have teenagers, so you know they're going to do something on their own time, right? But you know, if we have people that we kind of set up to help us like do those household things like laundry or dishes so that we can study and that's not happening, maybe we need to take a minute and pause and just ask for that assistance and that help. So being vulnerable doesn't necessarily have to mean like academically or like at work. It can also just be personal. And I love how you guys are talking about, oh, SNHU is like a therapy. Yeah, because we don't want you to be alone, and you have a lot of support here. And the cool thing is like most things are just literally a click away, which I always love. So here in week 5, the topic is definitely vulnerability. We've kind of covered that. We know what being vulnerable is. We know how we feel about it. And now we're just going to learn more about it and maybe make some changes, right? What is due this week? Y'all have a warm up. Remember those warm up assignments you can take as many times as you need to earn your best score. I always tell students, read the assigned reading, look over any of those required resources that are within the module, and then take it. But remember, if you struggle on it, don't do good, or don't do as well as you want, you can go back and take that as many times as you want, okay? The warm-up assignment is due by Sunday or before is convenient for your schedule. You have a discussion assignment this week. So as always, pop quiz, when is the initial post due? I'm going to give you a pop quiz. Oh, yep, A+ is Thursday. Initial discussion post is where you're answering those questions that are outlined in the module for the discussion assignment prompt by Thursday or before is convenient for your schedule. And then you want to respond to at least 2, not just 1, 2 of your classmates by Sunday or before. Okay, don't skip those discussions. Get the initial post and the responses done, because I'm telling you, if you are missing pieces and parts, those points add up and it can cost you a letter grade. And then you have a journal assignment. Whew, it's kind of a lot, right? There's a lot of things happening in week 5. But the good news is next week in week 6, you only have a journal assignment. So like, hey, it's going to feel like real light next week. So get through this week, okay? So let's talk about the discussion assignment. So the discussion assignment this week really kind of centers in on your mission and goals and being vulnerable and how everything just kind of ties together. So you're answering number 1, how will your personal mission statement and short-term goals that you wrote back in week 4, last week, keep you motivated during your academic journey? Okay, so think back to week 4. When you put together that mission statement and those 3 short-term goals, how are those going to keep you motivated, right? Question 2, give an example or 2, so at least 1, but you can share 2, how you will align your daily activities to your goals. So for example, let's say that you have a goal of you want to like check in with your advisor, or you want to turn, actually no, let's say our goal is like we want to turn our work in by Friday every week, so we kind of have some extra time for the weekend. So what are you going to do through the week to make sure that happens? Are you going to like chat with your advisor on Wednesdays? Are you going to like start working on assignments on Monday? Like what are you doing? Like how are you kind of lining your week up? Okay, Kimberly, it does sound like a lot when I say all the things that are due, but like I said, get them done, and then next week you only have 1 assignment. It makes it real easy. Question 3 is, how does being vulnerable, having an open mind, and considering others in your goal setting process help you attain your goals in a more meaningful way? Share your thoughts. And then question 4, how does vulnerability play a part in problem solving? Okay, so those are the questions for the discussion assignment. Initial post due by Thursday, 2 classmate responses by Sunday. Okay, the journal this week is one of my favorites. So we talk a lot in SNHU 107 about using our resources, right? You guys are all real familiar with the SNHU resources and why we want you to use them, because they're here for you and your success in getting your degree. But sometimes some of the big resources that students would use the most throughout their academic journey here at SNHU, they don't always know how to find them. So this is a great assignment where you are going to be navigating. So in your Brightspace classroom, or even through my SNHU, because you can find them there too, but you're going to navigate yourself to these different departments so that you know how to find them. Click on them, look through their stuff, because your goal for this assignment is to know how to get there. So you can, like as it says, navigate to the following SNHU resource. You're going to get there, so know how to get there. But then you want to summarize, like, how would using this resource assist you in achieving those mission and goals that you wrote? Okay, so for example, how, knowing how to get to the grade center where your grades are and your instructor feedback. Everybody know how to find that, right? Go into your Brightspace classroom, click on learning modules, grades, like right there, right? Like click on grades. When you do that, you go into your grade book, you're going to see all your assignments, and you can click on like view your assessment or view your rubric, right? And then you're going to see where your instructor has left their thoughts about how you did on your assignment, right? So knowing how to get there is one thing, but then what are you going to do with that information? Like how can that help you achieve your goals? So then the next one is that 24/7 drop-in tutoring. Special tip, you can find that underneath the academic support team. The Shapiro library. So how do you find the library? And these are all clickable right from your Brightspace classroom. and then SNHU Career, and then one additional SNHU resource of your choosing. So remember, SNHU resources are the teams and departments here at SNHU. Okay, so don't put like a loved one there because that's not what that is. SNHU resources are the teams and people here. But the next question is picking a social support. So think of one of those social supports, those people, places, organizations outside of the university, and how they'll help support you. Okay, I want to check the questions just really quick. You mean, let's see, Bobby, do you mean feedback from your instructor? So if you are in the grade book and you're getting feedback on like assignments and stuff from your faculty and you don't understand it or it doesn't make sense or you're like, it's not enough, always reach out to your instructor and be like, hey, I missed some points on this area. How can I do better? If there's not that like prompt of how you can do better, okay, perfect. Yes, if it's not super in-depth, always email your professor. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what you want to do. So if you're looking through that graded feedback and you're not sure, you have questions about it or it doesn't make sense, always email your instructor, okay? So this is the journal assignment. Does that make sense for what we're doing for week 5, module 5 journal assignment due by Sunday or before is convenient for your schedule? The other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys today was about one of our amazing resources, which is our SNHU Career Services. Students always say, like, why are we talking about SNHU Career? Like, they're like, career services with this giant question mark, because they're not graduating for a while. Y'all just started classes, right? But it is so important to get to know the career team and to start some of that career planning early in your academic program, like knowing what kind of jobs or internships are available in your field, making sure that's the field that you want to go into, like all that kind of stuff, okay? That's a really important thing. A couple of things about SNHU Career that most students don't understand is there's a lot of one-on-one support. So you can always reach out to this team. They have emails, phone numbers. You can always reach out to them and set a one-on-one appointment, but they help with like career goal setting, putting together resumes, cover letters, creating those LinkedIn accounts, interview prep, jobs, internship stuff, how to negotiate salaries, networking opportunities. There's times where you can connect with graduates that are in your field. There's just so many resources that they provide and they support. And there's some really cool things and assessments that they have that if you're kind of like not sure what career path you want to go down, or maybe you're still figuring out your major, there's just a lot of one-on-one support they have, but they also have a lot of stuff that's literally just a click away. The other cool thing about SNHU Career is you have their services for free for your lifetime. You know, it's something that you'll have forever. So even as you graduate and as you work with that team, like they're still here for you, okay? There's also this really cool online like student virtual career center area. It's like a resource hub for everything SNHU. Again, it's free for live services, but there's a lot of stuff in that Career 360. So I always encourage students to click on SNHU Career and review all the information that's there, which you guys are doing for your assignment anyway. So it's a great tie-in. But I also wanted to show you that you can find it, you know, when you click on SNHU Career, it's going to pull up all of the different things that they have going on. There's always a ton of events that they have going on, which a lot of them are virtual. So you can just kind of hop in, like different career fairs. They might have different organizations or employers that are coming in and doing some different talks. There's just a lot of cool stuff. They always have events happening. Most of them are virtual. Plus, you have a lot of different ways to like explore different industries and work that you want to do, career skills. There's just so much cool stuff in there. And a lot of times students don't realize that. And I also always love to, like, they'll show you all the different departments, all the different majors, and there's so many career skills that they offer, which is really pretty cool. So I wanted to make sure I showed you that. And also they have a really cool job board called Handshake, which posts different opportunities that are available for internships and careers directly for our SNHU students. There's a way you can build like a profile, you can search for different events. There's just a lot of really cool things that Career has. Has anybody checked out SNHU Career yet? I know you're like, Mel, it's early. But again, the more information you can have at your fingertips now, the better it helps you make the decision of like what career path you want to go down, the services they have. I mean, I have students now that are like building their LinkedIn profiles. It just helps you network and get connected. And a lot of you that are already working or in your fields, I've had students tell me, you know, like, gosh, I've been a manager or leader at this position for a long time. And I got with SNHU Career and like totally revamped my like LinkedIn profile. They helped me update my resume, like just things that they needed an extra set of like a different perspective on. And it was really helpful for them, which is really cool. Oh, perfect. You guys are like, some of you have checked it out, which is awesome. And I love that you guys are talking about the templates, that everybody has a love-hate relationship with the templates. You either love them or you don't. There's nothing that's in between there, right? The cool thing about the templates is it just makes it real easy to open it up and like type directly in it. But I know sometimes students like to kind of have a little bit different style, and that's okay too, as long as you have all those pieces and parts of the questions, okay? So real quick, that's everything for Module 5. So for Module 5, remember you have a warm-up due by Sunday. You have that journal due by Sunday or before, as convenient for your schedule. You have a discussion assignment, so initial discussion post due tomorrow, so Thursday, and then you have those 2 peer responses due by Sunday. Okay, so 3 different assignments. Plan your time, get those things in. And remember what I said too, to take a deep breath, because next week, week 6, module 6, you only have a journal assignment, which is kind of like a, whew, it's kind of like a breather. Trust me, your faculty have to grade all this stuff, so we know it's a lot too. But you have that week 6 assignment, and then we're going to be heading into the last couple weeks of classes. So module 7 is where you will put together your final project, that academic success plan, okay? And so I wanted to take a minute and just show you just a couple of things. I'm not going to go through it all, but I want to show you just a couple of things to get you started, especially if you're one of those students that likes to start on things a little bit early or kind of work on assignments in chunks. Next week's webinar is pre-recorded. It'll be ready to roll Monday morning. It goes through the project much more in depth, okay? So I'm gonna get out of here real quick, and I wanted to go into my classroom space and show you just a couple of things. One, as a reminder, you have access to all those departments up here. So the library is right here, academic support is right here. And if you click on that little help arrow and go to online student services, remember it pulls up all the departments and teams here at SNHU. So as you're working through your Module 5 assignment, you can navigate yourself to here's all those teams again. Okay, so they're all right in here. And just there's SNHU Connect, here's SNHU Career. And if for some reason you don't have that Microsoft Word or something compatible, remember you get Office 365 for free as an SNHU student. Okay, I like to make sure that I remind students of that. So course menu, learning modules. For Module 5, just remember you click on Module 5. As a reminder, you have that discussion assignment. You have that warm-up, and then you have your whoops, sorry, I am in the wrong one. Hold on a second, y'all. How did I get to Ideas 105? Sorry, I clicked on the wrong class. I was like, wait, that doesn't look like their little assignment. Learning modules, there we go. Module 5, you guys are like, wait, what does that mean? Module 5, here we go. Here's your discussion assignment. Here is your warm-up assignment. And then here's your journal assignment. So remember, those are the 3 different assignments you have that are all Module 5, okay? Like I said, next week in Module 6, you just have, we're going to have a journal assignment. Now, Module 7, this is what I wanted to show y'all. Okay, you guys ready? Did that answer everything for week 5 before I go over these little top tips for week 7? I wanted to make sure that everything was okay for Module 5. You guys feel good about Module 5? We understand it. You guys are like, I've already turned some of this stuff in. You're crushing it. I'm so proud of you. Okay, so Module 7, a couple of things I wanted to point out. Remember, this is 2 weeks early. So we're talking about it way early. But I wanted to point out that if you're looking ahead to Module 7, you will see that there's a discussion assignment in there, but it's not graded. It's literally just an opportunity for you to provide feedback and ask some questions about putting together your project or share things that have been helpful to you this term. So no, for Module 7, when you see that discussion assignment, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to share your thoughts, you can. The big assignment is that academic success plan. So if you click on those guidelines and rubric, y'all, when you click on that, it's going to open up an overview of the assignment, okay? And it's, of course, going to go through all of the questions, but I want you to remember to scroll all the way down to the bottom. You will see a template for this assignment. I know you guys were talking about, I love the template, I don't love the template, but you have a template for the assignment. So you click the blue, you open up the template and download it just like you have done to type right in it for all your journal assignments, okay? Same thing. What I wanted to point out is you'll see this academic success plan template, and then you'll also see under supporting materials, this document project template. They're the same, okay? They're the same. So don't let that stress you out. But I wanted to point out that a lot of students miss is if you click on project example, it is going to open up a whole document that is already done. Now, this is an example that was done by a previous student, but this gives you an idea of what your final project academic success plan should look like when it's all done and put together. This is not perfect. Do not copy it, any piece or part of it verbatim, because it'll flag academic integrity so fast. but it gives you a really great idea on how you need to be answering the questions. And if you don't like bulleted lists, that's okay. You can change it, whatever. As long as you're answering the question, that's what matters. But you'll notice if you do open up that project that like question 1 has 3 different parts to it. So this student, just from an organization standpoint, from their perspective, they used kind of the bulleted feature to make sure they were answering all the pieces and parts. But I just wanted to show you this real quick. Did you all know that was there? A lot of students miss that example all the time. And we talk about it a lot in week 6. Next week, I'll talk to you about it, and I'll go through every single question next week in week 6. But the biggest thing is I just wanted to show you that that is where you find the example. So if you wanted to start working ahead on that project template, it gives you an idea of how to do that. Okay. All right, y'all, any other questions for this week or for anything that's coming up? Let me know. I am going to stop sharing my screen so that I can see the chat here real quick. And make sure, let's see. Oh, I love that you guys have been using the handshake stuff. Work it, great. Okay, all right, I don't see any more questions. That's it. Oh wait, let's see. Papa just came up. You're so welcome for this review. Bobby, what do you mean for resources for the final project? Remember, there's nothing that needs to be cited for your final project unless you're using language that is like a direct quote or somebody else's information. These are just you answering the question. So one question I get a lot from students with the final project is like some of the concepts or the questions are very similar to things you've done previously in the class, right? Pay attention. You cannot always copy and paste because the questions are going to be a little bit different. The only spot where you would be able to kind of copy and paste from previous assignments in SNHU 107 would be that mission and goals assignment where you had your mission statement and 3 short-term goals back in week 4. If you had a perfect score on that is where you can just copy and paste your mission into that spot and copy and paste over those 3 short-term goals. But if you had edits to make or changes to make from your faculty, when you look at that graded feedback, you'll want to make sure that you have those, okay? So as far as resources, you really shouldn't have any need to cite anything unless you are for some reason like using a quote or specific information that is coming from somebody that is not your own. Remember, if it's not your own work, not your own words, you always want to make sure you cite it. If you need citation help, y'all, the best resources and information come from our Shapiro Library. They have you click on Shapiro Library at the top. They have a whole citation guide. Plus, you can always chat with a librarian and they'll go through some of those things too. Jordan, I just chatted about that. So you will notice that some of the questions are similar in the concept that you've already covered. Like, for example, there's a question about learning styles. There's a question that it's on there about like different time management stuff, social supports, using SNHU resources. So the questions are very similar to content that you've already gone through, but it's not exact. So make sure you read the question and answer the question correctly, but your previous assignments can help support you in answering those questions, but they're not just exactly the same. Does that help? Does that help like break that down? And then let's see. What if you don't have any feedback as such because your assignments are 100%? Bobby, if you want to know if there's things that you need to improve upon or things you need to work on or things that you need to add, get with your instructor because they can see how they've graded your work and what they might want you to do. But if you had 100%, like for example, on your mission and short-term goals assignment, then you're just able to carry those directly over into the final project. Okay, does that make sense? Does that help? Deborah, let me know what specific question you have so that I know how to help, okay? Jordan, that's a great recommendation on that book too. And yes, there are awesome workshops too that the academic support team does on citation work too, which they're online, they're easy, you can just hop in. And if you like sign up to attend one, but maybe you can't make it, your schedule changes, you'll still get the recording. So that's kind of a top tip that's out there. Bobby, perfect. I'm glad that that helped. What other questions do we have? Do we feel good about week 5? Did this help kind of run through everything for week 5? Did it help just kind of know like where to find some of that stuff? Remember for module 7, it's 2 weeks away, but I just wanted to show you that early. Next week's webinar that's pre-recorded and then it's ready to roll. in YouTube for Monday morning. We'll go over everything in depth for that final project for week 7. Plus, we'll talk about the week 6 assignment. You just have that journal assignment. I wanted to leave you all too, if you haven't yet, take our amazing anonymous survey for how these learning community webinars or the videos like help you, or what we could do different, or things that you might want to add or change. But otherwise, that's all I got for today, y'all. I hope that you guys remember that you are in week 5. You really only have like 3.5 weeks left of your courses, which is super exciting. This is the time, again, where if you have fallen behind or missed an assignment, to reach out to your instructor, see if you can get caught back up, see what you can and can't turn in. Some points are better than no points. Remember that, and always get with your instructor, okay? And Donald, too, with the assignments, like I said, your instructor can say no, but like if you have really struggled or you didn't get something turned in, you can always ask. I have students all the time that are like, oh my gosh, I totally missed that warm-up, Professor Shop. Or, oh my goodness, I thought I turned that journal assignment in. Can I still turn that in? And I'm like, absolutely. There is a late penalty, but some points, I'm telling you, are better than 0 points. So if you are missing assignments, always reach out to your instructor. Ask what you can and maybe can't make up, and just see if you can make a plan for your success, okay? Bobby, does the fear go away? I think it does. I think that whenever something is really important to us or something is new, we can tend to have a little bit of anxiety about it, or it makes us nervous, and it's just because it's important to us or it's new and we're just not sure how it's going to go. But I promise you, like, especially after you get a class or two kind of underneath you, you really figure out a routine, what works best for you. You know which resources work really well for you if you have writing assignments, or if there's a content, like a class that you're like, oh, I'm nervous about this one. Like, there's always the support there. And for some reason, y'all learners, you students, are always so nervous to reach out to your instructors. Don't be. Reach out, send an email. The worst they can say is no. But like if you're stuck on something, or you're not sure about something, or you have a question on something, reach out. Like, don't just not turn something in, because that just hurts you. I have had students send me an email that's like, oh my gosh, like I said, I forgot that warm up, or life is totally lifing and I totally fell behind this week. Okay, let's chat about it. Let's make a plan for your success. Like, let's get you back on track. You might not be able to turn everything in, and it might not be for full credit, but you can always ask, because some points are better than none, okay? All right, y'all, that's all I got today. I think I got all the questions. If you need something, if you have questions on anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to your instructor. You can always post a question in the learning community, and I sure hope that you enjoyed today. We are so proud of you. You are past the halfway point of the term. You only have a couple more weeks to go. Way to show up for yourself today in the learning community webinar, and just remember, you got this, y'all. Have a great week 5, everybody.